Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So I woke, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm going to share this live. Oh, I better put the sound up. That would help. I hope you're doing well Saturday morning and that you are in the right state of mind, in a balanced place in your heart chakra. And we're going to be talking about a lot. We're going to be talking about the falls. We're going to be talking about the Akashic records and what comes, what I do. And we're going to talk about some experiences that souls are having. Some amazing souls, because there's so much nuances to how we fell. And there's this weird idea that stains the New Age community as well as the Christian and, whatever. Kind of like Orthodox teachings that we fucked up. And that we fucked up bad, and that's why we fell. And so I'm going to wait until we have at least 9 people. That's the magic number I'm always looking for, 9. And then I'll go ahead and start. Hi, Letty. Good morning. It's good to see you. And so we're looking at the collective agreement and the fall. So hopefully people get on. If not, c'est la vie. We'll do it. But I'm waiting for 9 people. So if you guys could share the live, that'd be awesome. I just shared it with our little group of Star Seeds twins. And so that's why Letty, I'm sure, is here. my little sister. Anyway, so just waiting. And then if we are doing really well, we're grooving, there's a high energy, we'll go ahead and do an Earth Warrior Oracle. We'll pull a card from that. And I might indiscriminately open to an angel just to see if we get a message from from the angelic realm, because we need it. I had an amazing meditation right before this live on my way to work. I hear you. All right, just waiting for more, like 9 people to share with your compadre and see if you can get 9. I just want 9 because I don't want to repeat myself. That's all. And then eventually people will come on and they'll come on and they'll realize that the rest of the live is online. All right, so we'll look. We'll wait. So 9 people is what I'm looking for, and then we'll start. Okay. Any questions or comments about the energies right now? What are you guys feeling? Please share on the comment section. Please do. Don't feel shy. Share what you're going through. Share anything that deals with the energies of the planet right now. No offense. I don't want to hear about your twin flame story. Not yet. Okay. This is not the time. This is not that live at all. What I want to hear about is what you're feeling on a deep level. 11. Perfect. Let's begin. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much. We are going to do a pranayama exercise, by the way. It's going to be only it's going to be like like 45 seconds. You'll see what I mean. And the reason why I want to teach you that is because I want to teach you, and this is something my twin taught me, okay? He would do that all the time. That was his way of meditating. If I forget, please remind me to do the breathing exercises. It's going to be 45 seconds at best. And it will get you immediately from anxiety to getting your nervous system totally relaxed. Again, my twin is here, okay? And I'll tell you in a minute what my meditation entailed in terms of the new earth. So I'm going to have to share that as well. So let me go right into one of my clients who I did an Akashic record for, an Akashic reading. And I'm going to go with her first because she's one of my badass clients. She's like a badass. She's like boss babe, beautiful, that kind of thing. Get shit done, amazing laughter, absolutely passionate, irreverent. Okay. So I'm doing the Akashic session with her. Not with her. I'm doing my 20-minute meditation before I call her. And so can you imagine when I see that one of her totem animals is a white unicorn with the face, so when I say white unicorn, I mean like a white horse, right? With a unicorn. So because sometimes they look like sheep or they look like goat, but this is a white unicorn that has the face of an Arabian stallion. Okay. And it's quite interesting. Arabian stallion, white. and I see this unicorn as a totem animal, and I'm like already feeling like, what? Because it doesn't compute with this person, okay? So this is the first thing I see. The second thing I see is a white golden eagle. Now that I understood, because the golden eagle is, there's a symbolism to that. I'm not going to get into it right now. And then the third animal, and was a white crystalline whale. And every time it spouted, it was rainbows, like rainbow colors, like exploding colors, you don't see with the human eye. And I was seeing these incredible colors I can't describe. Okay, so when and I'll tell you more about what came through, but when I spoke to her, when I called her up and said, this is what I'm seeing, and I'm a little reticent to even tell you, she said, you won't believe this. Me and my twin talked about whales 2 days ago. That was number one. Number two, she said, I fucking love unicorns so much. As a matter of fact, when I bought my house, there was a unicorn sticker on the window, and that was my sign to buy that house. So I would have never known that. So it's interesting how your guides, my guides and so on, work their magic, okay? And before she was ever incarnated, she was what I would call a unicorn, what you would call a unicorn handler, just like a cowboy, but not. It was a soul that actually handled and moved unicorns into a safe place. We did have unicorns on this planet at one time, when this planet was 5D, when the druids and druidesses and high priestess and Avalon was thriving. There was a world where the colors we no longer can see because of the frequency vibration that is not a match. By the way, this is a scientific fact. This is not me with my tinfoil hat telling you this. This is science. There are colors that vibrate to such a frequency that we cannot see it with the mortal eyes. That's number one. So let's get that out of the way. So with that said, one of the things that's interesting about some of us who are psychic is that we can see things that most people can't see or don't want to see. Oh my God, I guess you're right into, there's so much on that one, because when you're trained not to believe to see, you won't see. When you're trained to believe to see, you will see. It's really actually that simple. It's the craziest thing. So anyway, one of her incarnations, she was a badass Viking woman. She must have been 6 foot, and her beloved was 6'6". I mean, and they would make love in the snow, and they would laugh, and they would just, the sex was wild and mad, and they had children, and they were Vikings. Okay, so there was a part of her that was definitely a Xena warrior princess type of energy, but much more wild. There was a passionate vulgarity almost that was quite alluring. Okay, so I'm watching this woman with these long blonde braids and powerful stature and this and that, beautiful, strong, beautiful face, and then suddenly I see a scene where all the men have gone to go raiding. And I don't know if you know the history of Vikings, but they would go raiding. They would go to Ireland, they would go to different parts of Europe, up the coast of Europe, and raid. Okay. And there was, the next scene I saw was crosses, like crosses on necklace, around men's necks. And I saw men who had waited, who had been skulking and waiting for the men to leave, to come in and raid the Viking village. And so that's exactly what happened. Her man, all the men left to do their raiding, and men came in from other parts of Europe, probably a group of men from a certain point, obviously from a certain part of Europe. I don't know what country they came from. I couldn't tell, though I could say that actually, in retrospect, a lot of them had black beards and black dark hair, and some of them olive skin. So I can't tell you what part of the world. It could have been Europe. Hell, it could have been part of North Africa. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, you never know. That's what's interesting. But what ensued was that she was in full battle, sword in hand, and she unfortunately got to see her kids taken down, unalivened. I hate that word, unalivened, and then she was fighting a man front to front, and then felt the presence of the man behind her and turned. And as she turned, she wasn't ready, and the sword went right into her Harat chakra, the belly button. and I saw her eyes explode open in shock and surprise, and seeing her children just gone, dead. And that sense of guilt gave her a sense, she failed protecting her children. And so to die with that understanding of shame and regret and anger and all of the emotions you can imagine, that's not a good way to die. And it creates some scar that can be very heavy and riddled with karma, and good or bad, karma riddled. But now so that was an incarnation where that would have brought even more, some scars, aka impressions, into subsequent lives to come. But how she fell was very interesting, because she was an Anunnaki. And I saw her in a lab. I saw her, it was very galactic looking, whatever that means to you, however it can mean, but like definitely a lab. But not a lab that with the white coats and the stainless steels that we recognize as labs in our world. I'm talking about, a transcendental lab. Like, it was dark, with lights focused on certain areas, workstations. And that's where all the light was focused on. So it was a very ambient light that was going on. Anyway, long story short, she was she was helping to create the human race as we know it. And that would have made her fall. And the reason it would have made her fall is because you don't manipulate. And the reason, let me back up. The reason why she and others like her were in that lab creating human beings wasn't for good reasons. It was to enslave them, to mine gold, okay? And we all know that story. You've all heard it in some way, okay? And so she was one of these people doing that. And so when you start playing games like God games, like love spells and voodoo tata shit, yeah, you incur massive karma. So in her case, because she was trying to create humans, right? And humans, what would happen when a new form of life is created that would be a perfect vessels for souls like ours? Well, we're going to take on those incarnations. Watch the movie Blade Runner with Harrison Ford, okay? And really look at it through transcendental eyes. Re-see that movie now, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. So long story short, that's how she fell. From ninth dimension, eighth, whatever dimension, massively high dimension. But that intention of enslaving sentient beings, other sentient beings, using, and this is the kicker, using their DNA to mix with what they were, in the petri dish doing all kinds of shit. But part of their DNA is in our bloodline, as you well know. And that basically, that was it. That was the fall. So when we fall from, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, I put 5D because it's something that we can all wrap our heads around. But when we fell, many of us fell, the Bible told us that, Eve ate the apple of knowledge. Now, here's the thing. If you as a human being were approached by an entity, and again, the propaganda is that this was an evil entity. But we now know, many of us now know, it was Lilith. Lilith came back into the garden and came in. I don't buy it was a snake, because for us, on a primal level, most people hate snakes, aka, remember the scene with Harrison Ford in, what was it? The Art of the Covenant, whatever it was, that scene where he's about to go down and he's like, why snake? Of all the fucking, why snakes? So we all have like a knee-jerk reaction on snakes. So, clearly. So this idea of using the snake, which in a sense also represents the Kundalini awakening at the base of our spine. By the way, on the side note, come to think of it, I just got that understanding as I'm speaking to you. Yeah, the Kundalini awakening is a snake. We all know that, right? Which goes back thousands of years through the Vedas, which the Vedas taught us those ideas. And so this idea that it's a malevolent spirit is my point. That is going to offer you knowledge of your existence, of your purpose, of where you came from, your origins, is absurd. But it was a successful propaganda that was used by the 1% to subjugate us for a good solid 2,000 years. If you told anyone that the sun was the center of the universe and not the earth, you were on the rack. I mean, that was it. That was that simple. So there were a lot of these amazing scientific men and Nostradamus, with his psychic powers and so forth, that had to really keep it hush hush for fear of losing their lives in horrible ways, right? So anyway, this concept of the fruit of knowledge, any one of us with any sort of curiosity would have bit into the apple, fig, whatever you want, pomegranate, whatever you want to call it. We would have actually wanted to eat the nectar of knowledge because we are intelligent creatures. We're curious. We want to know. And so the way they set up these gates that closed us from knowledge, from divine source knowledge, was to use this story to create this false parable, right? This lie that basically said that's how we fell. That's not how we fell. And in the New Age community, and I apologize if I did that as well, by the way, is basically pinpointing Atlantis and the fuckery of the Atlanteans as the minute we fell. So here's what I'm realizing, because I knew that for me personally, because I had fallen before Atlantis. I knew that already. But what I'm realizing as I'm doing the Akashic readings is that everyone fell for different reasons. Some I've yet to come up with fuckery, because to be fair to her, as an Andromeda, not Andromeda, as an Anunnaki, she thought she was doing the right thing. And you have to understand that some of us in these incarnations on other planets, other realms, again, I've repeated myself, but some of us as 80% mind, that means intellectual mind, and 20% heart. And some of us are 20% mind, intellectual mind, and 80% heart. And in planet Earth, we are at a place where we are 50% heart, 50% mind. This is why we're constantly having a battle with the monkey mind. But what I'm going to say to you is that, in a sense, there was an innocence to it, right? An ignorance to it. However, it didn't matter, because no matter what realm you live in, if you're spiritually connected to source, right? And you are doing whatever, and I still believe that we probably do meditations all over conscious realms and dimensions. I know this because of my twin. I would see him meditating on another planet, and we were definitely in 6D consciousness then. So meditation is still a key component to connecting to source, to be divinely guided by the heart to do the right thing. So clearly, no offense, God bless her, she didn't do it with the thought that this was wrong. Clearly, she thought she was in her right. And you see how the minds work even in the human race, right? We see how people actually do fucked up things thinking they're doing the right thing, right? So we know how that works. We've seen it in history. So she did it. She fell. So any questions on that? Because I find that fascinating. So this is part 2. Okay, very true. Okay, any questions or comments? All right. And I love it. We have 9. And that's exactly what I wanted. We have more, fabulous, but 9 is good. All right, so that was 1. Now, the second person that fell, now this is interesting. Now, I'm going to bring you back to and I need you to pay attention to what I'm saying. And I'm repeating myself, and you've heard this story before, but there's a reason. I need you to pay attention. Okay. Now, as you know, in the last video I did on how we fell, I did the... I told you the story of Dr. Joe Dispenza working with giants with Lilu Mas on YouTube. I told all of you to go find that video and look at it from cover to cover, 57 minutes. And I told you that there were these titanic giants that told Joe one day, can you raise the vibration of the room? Because if we lower our vibration any more than this, right, we will lose our consciousness, and we love ourselves too much to lower our frequency anymore. So raise their vibrations, because we don't want to. In other words, what they were saying in saying we will lose our consciousness, we'll fall. We will fall. Now, I have a client that I did an Akashic reading on. She was an Andromedan. And she got to see her home, her planet explode. She got to see Geno, right? Since we have to do code words, because, freedom of speech is like edited. Anyway, and as an Andromedan, right, they were coming onto planet Earth, this planet, and I'm talking about 500,000 years ago. In other words, before Atlantis possibly was here, okay? But before Atlantis was here, before Lemuria was here, they came on this planet, and it was definitely on a 5-6D vibration, this planet right here, this planet Earth. It's been there before. It knows what it feels like to do that, okay? And they would carve through sonic frequency the sides of mountains into palaces. What I saw was fucking the kind of beauty that you and I think some of us dream of seeing. We've seen these old monasteries carved, these old monasteries carved on side of mountains in China, Nepal, so forth, right? In parts of like the world, right? That are just, and you're like, how the fuck did they do that, right? Well, they were carving whole palaces on sides of mountains, sides of cliffs, overlooking the ocean, overlooking valleys and meadows, and living, existing, enjoying. Think of it as going on a vacation to another country. They were going on a vacation, if you will, to another planet. And I didn't see a purpose to them being there. Like, it wasn't like they were there for any real reason. I do feel as if there were like a type of humanoid race here. There was, and I do see them, and they're very primitive. And I feel like that was part of why they were there, but I wasn't shown exactly what they did. The main thing was the ways that they used sonic frequency to carve into mountains. That was the point, and I need you to remember that, because she fell. And she fell because she decided that she wanted to experience what it'd be like. Think of it as over empathetic, okay? She wanted to know what it was like to live as a humanoid, a type of humanoid species, for whatever reason. Maybe she wanted to, maybe she was doing a study, and she wanted to understand how it would be to live like that. And maybe she thought, and I get a sense that it was for her a temporary existence that it was going to be, and she'd go back. Well, the problem is she couldn't go back. Remember Joe Dispenza? If we lower our frequency anymore, we'll fall. So she didn't fall because of any fuckery. She didn't fall because of any trauma. She fell because she just lowered her frequency to match the frequency necessary to go into this humanoid body, this, on planet Earth, beyond, oral history, obviously, and beyond even that, beyond Atlantis, beyond Lemuria. And she took on this incarnation, and that was fucking that. Because the next scene I saw was a very tall, brutish, muscular, hairy, greasy-haired, Neanderthal type of man. Then after that, I saw her coming into incarnations as a Tibetan monk. She had 3 incarnations as a Tibetan monk. And then what I saw was that even though, and this is when, Atlantis had fallen and this and that, there were parts of the world, and Tibet was one, that was still hitting at 5D. And I saw it. Tibet, the ceiling of the world, was still vibrating at 5D, though all of us had fallen into 3D. Europe, Africa. There were parts in Africa that were still in 5D too, by the way. There were parts that had completely collapsed to 3D. And this planet has somehow, I don't know why, I don't know how, there were pockets, you could call them portals, whatever, where you could still be in 5D, and Tibet was one of them. She had 3 incarnations, and her last incarnation as a Tibetan monk, I saw a very old man, 130 years old, that was the age, when he died, when he dropped his body willingly. Let me just reset the tone. He was 130 years old when he dropped his body. And I saw him. He had long, silky white hair, Fu Manchu beard, but long, all the way down to his belly button. And he was wearing all white with cream embroidery, and a magnificent figure. No wrinkles, nothing like that, but very skinny, very small. Age had, made him smaller. And he was loved. Oh my God, he was adored, just loved by the monks. The young monks just took care of him so lovingly, bathed him, washed him, just loved him and helped him walk. He could still walk because the nectar that came out of his mouth was amazing. Now listen to this. The trumpets that the Tibetans used to use, still used by the way in ceremony, but apparently, and I'm not sure if this is still possible, and it could be, okay? But there are trumpets. It's the kinds that you see that fall to the floor. You've seen Tibetan monks use them. I know you have. And this is known. They would use these sound frequencies from these, and I'm going to call them trumpets because I don't know what they're called, were used to levitate monolithic rocks and to build things and so forth. So now we go all the way back to when she was an Andromedan, and they were using sound frequency to blast into the sides of mountains to create palaces. But you see how she fell? She didn't fall because she did something wrong. She fell because she simply lowered her frequency. Do you see how dangerous it is to lower your frequency? Do you see how some people actually go into a spiritual awakening? They're in 4D, they're literally tapping into 5D, and suddenly, I don't know, they get a malevolent entity, because when you're fucking coming into your light, you will be spiritually attacked by fucked up spirits. And suddenly I've seen this, I've seen it on my comments, that they went back to God, they went back to Jesus, and ran back to the darkness of 3D, not knowing, as they say, they're running back to Jesus, that they're actually running away from Jesus. Just on the side note, that they're literally running away from all the incredible magic that Yeshua was learning on his travels, like literally running back, regressing. And that's a fall. That's falling. So what is happening as we progress, as we walk, all of us, I call it the great starseed gathering, right? We've all gathered, right? In this timeline, is that it's important for us to realize that as we walk towards our ascension into 5D, not to be afraid of the unknown, because it's not so much that it's unknown, it's forgotten. So now I'm starting to call our problem of falling Alzheimer's, a spiritual Alzheimer's. And you know about Alzheimer's, you know how that works. Suddenly the person knows everything, their brain's sharp as a tack, they do everything. They can, do all kinds of crazy, like poetry off the top of their head, shit like that. And suddenly, bit by bit, they forget. And essentially, that's our story as a spiritual collective. We have spiritual Alzheimer's. And so what you have to understand is that as you're walking back to 5D, it's going back home. It's like, it should feel familiar but scary, because we all ran away from home, or somehow circumstances threw us out of the household of our spiritual homes, our true essence of our true consciousness. And so part of the cluttering in the brain is a lack of self-worth and a lack of shaming and saying, I'm not ready yet. Well, if you're not ready yet, you wouldn't be hearing me, because you would be in a different frequency match where this particular message would have not come to you. You have to understand how divine appointment works. They're not always divine appointments face to face. Sometimes they're divine appointments with messages like this. So the worst thing you can do is allow your fear, your monkey mind, to dictate how far in you're going to go into 5D. Now, yeah, put on your fucking tinfoil hats. Why? Because it attracts more light codes into your crown chakra. I'm being funny, but what I'm saying to you is that your tinfoil hat is really you activating your crown chakra to be upgraded with light codes. And so instead of waiting for an automatic download, kind of like when your phone's updated with your software while you sleep, and your computer's updated with software while you sleep, instead of waiting until it's updated, why don't you manually do it? Why don't you ask power, right? The universe, your archangels, your guide, your mentor, your guide that's been around forever, to upgrade you with light codes through your crown chakra, so you can understand, so you can better see, so you can really, really, really expand the ability for you to take on the most massively complex esoteric things and literally understand it. And that understanding doesn't just fly away like a hummingbird. It actually sticks to you. So in a way, what we're going through is almost like we're actually going through the birth canal. And the planet Earth Pachamama is, I don't know, maybe 5 centimeters in diameter opening, or whatever the hell you want to say, however you want to see this. It is the darkest before the dawn. It is very, very unsettling in some sense, because for, I don't know, 500,000 years, for millions of incarnations, depending on what planets you experience in between your incarnations on planet Earth, because I just shared with you, there were matches in frequency. More and more we just forgot what it was to really be good in our skin. And that's why many starseeds who come here from the giddy up, remember their earliest memories is not feeling good here, feeling lonely, and feeling completely like a soft depression, a soft like humming emptiness in their heart chakra, and not knowing where it came from. That is a starseed sign. That's like, where in the hell is home? In a way, it's kind of like The Little Prince. I don't know if you ever read that book, but I that was my favorite. When I was a kid, I read that book like I think 10 or 20 times, because finally I saw an adult who understood the mind of a kid. And he's searching, in a way. He's searching for meaning, the Little Prince. He's searching for home. And you kind of can feel that there's something missing. And he's looking for it, So it's interesting how we are not allowing ourselves to feel the fear, and maybe to sit and take a break on the side of the road of 5D Ascension and just sit and take a break. Others will, it's kind of like the El Camino. Have you ever heard of the El Camino? I think it goes from Spain. It's a Catholic, I think it's a Catholic type, walk that you do, and you go from place to place, and they give you a little passport, and that you stamp it. And Shirley MacLaine wrote about that, and my friend D Sunshine did it. He did the El Camino. And the El Camino is an amazing spiritual, physically spiritual journey. And you meet all these amazing people and have these amazing conversations. But I mean, sometimes your body, because you're really you're working hard on walking those kilometers, and it's hard on the body, especially if you're not used to it, lower back, your legs, whatever. And so you're going to sit it out. And you're going to meet people on the way who are sitting up, who are taking a break. They're not stopping from the journey. They're just taking a breather for a minute, just to kind of recalibrate, reground themselves, and so forth. So similarly to that, it's okay to take a break. You're not failing. You're just taking a break. You're just trying to maybe even get a look at the scenery, like your new consciousness, how you are, how you're doing, and checking in with yourself to see what your little boy or little girl needs. And that's okay. And I think that for some, like I told my friend Andromeda, I said, I know part of the reason why my twin had to drop his body is because there was just so much he could do in this body to attain 5D full consciousness, because there were way too many filterings and systems that would prevent him from going into 5D in his body. So the final push was to drop the body. By the way, don't mistake what I'm saying, okay, with you doing something crazy. Drop the body because he was ill, right? And boom, attain 5D consciousness. An explosion of conscious awakening that felt absolutely natural and comfortable, because he was no longer trapped in a body and in a brain that was filtering the wrong shit sometimes. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions or comments so far? Any questions or comments? Let me read, because your questions and comments are really cool. What's the name of the video? I'd like to watch it. Oh, shit. What video did I mention? Damn it. Did anybody? Oh, yes. Dr. Joe Dispenza, Working with Giants. That's what you write. That's what you write on the YouTube bar. Dr. Joe Dispenza, Working with Giants, with Lilou, Lilou, Mace, Mace. And you're going to see him sitting down with a French woman interviewing him And I think she's wearing white, whatever. But anyway, that's what you're looking for, okay? And you have to do it like that because you will not find it by just saying working with Giant Dr. Joe Dispenza. I tried. You might be luckier than me, though. Yes, Jesus is ascended beyond the matrix. Yes. Heavy ascension symptoms, massive throat and crown opening this past week, sore throat and headache. Yeah, if you can hear my voice, me too. And I'm going to share something with you. My twin came into my meditation this morning and he laid upon my neck a beautiful necklace that is almost like a choker. And the frontal piece of the stone is a meteorite, polished so it could go against, and on the sides of the beads, like there were like 5 strings, right, like pearls, but they're not pearls, they were labradorite. And he literally deposited that on my throat chakra to help me as I process what I'm sharing with you today. So it's a power necklace, right? It's a power necklace that he placed upon my neck this morning during my meditation. So yeah, shit's happening. Okay, we're getting upgraded. We're and if you can hear my voice, it sounds like I have a cold, which I don't know. I'm always in between. We must let go of everything mentally and trust the process. Exactly. Good morning. How can I find the balance with my twin? I feel like we are separating rather than coming together. Listen to the live. This is not what I'm talking about today. Beautiful. Feeling very similar love in my meditation with my twin. Very similar. Yes, of course it is. So any questions so far what I'm talking about? So I went into, so as I've told you to please take the power of your powers to manifest, I need you to carve out some time to see the new earth. So following my own advice to you, I did the same. After I got my downloads for myself and whatever clearing I needed, I went ahead and decided to, consciously visualize what the new earth looked to me, right? So I'm going to actually walk you, I'm going to share what went down. So, of course, I saw that flags were no longer. And the flags, and please, if you're cynical, you may want to scroll on. But the flags of countries were no longer flags. I saw it started with flags collapsing. And then the next thing I saw was white flags. And then the next thing I saw is people who were waving. What they were putting as flags of pride was flags with the symbol of the heart, flags with the symbol of the peace sign, flags with the symbol of the dove, of the butterfly, of the hummingbird, of the wolf, of the rainbow. Those were the flags that people that rose out of the ashes of these weird, narcissistic, flags that have only harmed us when you look at it. And because the ideologies behind those flags, some of it weren't, and I think you kind of know. Like, for example, the Confederate flag. There's nothing good about it, okay? All right. So with that said, so I'm seeing these flags that symbolize this beautiful energy of peace and love and abundance and transformation. And then, of course, I was thinking, well, how do we travel? Do we get on a plane? How do we pay for that? How does this work? And I saw the problem of being on a plane and the air hostesses, and then that collapsed. And it showed me, and I don't know if you guys are Harry Potter fans, but it showed me, do you remember how they used to travel? They would open portals. They would intend portals or know where portals were. Either, right? Okay. So that's exactly how we travel. The portals are now available, and we can consciously go from Ireland to France, from France to Italy. And strangely enough, yes, the trains still exist, but they're how do I put it? They self-travel. In other words, there's no human running it. It's done on quartz crystal, and it's done by consciousness. Again, the power of the collective consciousness. And that is the one thing that's allowed. But everything else, massive travels from continent to continent or wide spaces, is done through portals. And I was like, they've been cluing us in on what we're about to experience for fucking 75, 100 years. And we're still not getting it. And the law of the universe, watch David Icke, because he'll tell you that. Watch David Icke. When COVID was happening, they completely brutalized him and removed him from YouTube. So you have to look for David Icke, through people reposting his videos, or you can find him on his own website. So Ike is spelled ICKE. So you would go davidike.com, for example, or you can look at David Icke and just search David Icke. The other guy that's a mind blower and powerful is Sasha Stone. Those are the guys I'm turning you on to, because those are the guys that really fucking think beyond, the realms of 3D limitations. And many of the things they said have come true. Sadly, I wish they were wrong, because, but they are wayfarers. And they've had to, in particular David Icke, if you watch his documentary Renegade, they paid the price. So the fall. So the falls that we were, what was promoted to us is that we fell because we fucked up. So right where you start telling human beings who are being incarnated again and again, one of my least favorite ones, but very popular one, was all babies are born in sin. Can you imagine saying that? All babies are born in sin? Holy shit. But this went on for thousands of years, like at least a good 1,000 years. And so between that and the story, and then shaming the feminine for eating the apple, putting that on the woman, and then putting Lilith, and demonizing her, turning her into Ishtar, bird woman. I don't know if you've seen the Babylonian example of Lilith, for example, but you can look it up. It's a famous stone sculpture. And you can see her with wings, and she's part female, part animal, part bird, part lion. In other words, she was punished. That's the story, that she was punished. Read about Lilith, okay? Because there wasn't just one Lilith. There were many Liliths throughout the planet. Any questions or comments? What are your thoughts on this? Have a great day. Feeling very similar. Okay. Have a great day, Tony. Can't wait to watch later. Me too. I can't wait till you tell me. Are any of these interviews on Gaia.com? No. No, not the one on working with giants. No, not at all. Unfortunately, I wish. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, yes. So do you remember when we talked in the first live that I did 2 days ago? It's called The Collective Agreement. Do you remember that? Okay, do you remember how I told you how it was that aging was a collective agreement? And I go into it. So if you go on my YouTube channel, go watch that particular video, that particular live, to get you on par, because I'm about to share this. So Hunza is a is a group of people. I mean, it's a place called Hunza, somewhere near, like it hits Pakistan and Afghanistan. It's an area. It's absolutely gorgeous. It looks something from another planet. It's beautiful. And the people there, when a woman is 40, she looks like she's 15 years old. The men and women they'll be 75 and they'll look like they're 35, 40 at best, at most. Women there are having babies at 62, 75. The average age of the Hunza people is 120 years old. And they are in excellent shape. There's no Alzheimer's. There's no bullshit. And the food, they're talking about the food, but it's not the food it's not just the food. And they eat very little animal protein, on the side note. And how they prepare the animal before they eat it is probably a conscious way that is very relaxing to the animal. I doubt it's violent like what we're eating. So you guys eating meat, like, think about it again. Think about what's going on. Because if you really want to ascend, now I'm going to put my 2 cents in that, because you have to understand the way, if you were hunting it yourself and you were a good hunter, that means that you had a clean shot, and the animal didn't suffer, was in the middle of enjoying its life, and boom, it was over. That's different than the shit people are eating, okay? The suffering that these animals are going through. You're eating the cortisol, just saying, not to mention all the shit in it. But with that said, so these people eat very little animal protein, and again, it's probably being a process in a very humane way, in a very calm way, in a very, empathic way. And that's probably why they don't eat a lot of it, because they do it, probably take one animal a year and they dry it and whatever. But anyway, the point is, these people are amazing to look at. And they are not just beautiful. Many of them are just beautiful. But they are not aging the way we have been aging for hundreds of years. And there are parts of Africa that also enjoys. There's like pockets of people and different tribes that are also experiencing that. people on the steppes of Russia. I mentioned that in the last live. And also people in some parts of Asia are also experiencing that. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? And they're not under an infrastructure that we are in. Let me make that clear. Do you see what I'm saying? So what does that mean? That the system that we're under is not healthy for us, is it? Clearly. Because apparently they don't have the big C coming at them. They don't have that. I have a feeling that if people don't make it to 120 years old, they die of an accident. You know, they fall off a mountain or whatever, right? Or they have a fever, whatever, right? But for the most part, these people are thriving, eating the purest foods with the uncontaminated seeds, unfucked with by Monsanto, which by Monsanto has been outlawed in many parts of Europe, if not all of Europe. So what are your thoughts on that? Any questions or comments on that? So the new earth, when you start using your collective power to create the new earth, see the new earth. And yeah, magic is part of 5 and 6D. Magic is part of it. Yeshua was able to do some incredible things, right? Because he had been taught. There's a book called Jesus Lived in India by a German scholar written in the 1970s. And now we know there was another German scholar that went into an old Tibetan monastery and found scrolls written in, I'm not sure which language, to be honest with you, but in it, he saw the word Yeshua mentioned many times. So now we're realizing Yeshua, Jesus, Yeshua is a very unusual name. Okay, so what the fuck was going on? So there was a man that traveled, and that man was most likely the Yeshua you and I know and love. Traveled to Tibet, went to India and traveled to Tibet. Why would that be such a thought? And learned these esoteric concepts on matter, on sound frequency, on intention, and became what he became to return to show, not to show off, obviously, but to show so that people could listen to his wisdom. Sometimes these little pony tricks, like a flame in your hand, walking on water, turning water into wine, shit like that, taking one fish to create plenty, is so people will listen to you. It isn't there for any other purpose than for that. So that you will respect what they have to say, and you will listen to their wisdom and actually follow the counsel of those, teachings. And that's why those little pony, what I call pony tricks, no disrespect to Yeshua, don't get me wrong when I say that. And so there are people who can still do what he could do, what he did do. There are people alive walking the planet. One of the great books you should read, if you're really on the spiritual journey, a primer that you should read, every person should read it. It's called The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. And there's a letter at the end of that book by the coroner's office in Los Angeles. For whatever reason, and I can't imagine, he was in state for over 30 days, something like that. I don't quite remember how long. There was no decomposition of his body. None. And he dropped his body. There are beautiful, high vibrational souls that don't die. There's a difference between dying and dropping your body. Dying is where you might need morphine to help you let go. Dying is the last breaths you take in a car accident, or the immediate impact, that's dying. Dropping your body is literally saying, I'm ready now. And you close your eyes and you do whatever you do and you leave voluntarily with full faculties intact. Does that make sense? And so there are people that drop their bodies. And in fact, there are people who have actually filmed people doing this very thing. And the reason and the purpose to that is to see how to die. There's a beautiful song by George Harrison. It was one of my twins' favorite songs. It was called The Art of Dying. So there's an art to it. And in a way, it's not really dying so much as reincarnating into another realm, another understanding, another, and sometimes in a material way, meaning, but it's 6, 7D, that kind of thing. When people, try to talk about, well, that's not 3D, that's 5D, this is 6D, that's that. For the purpose of this conversation, let's not split hairs on dimensions. Let's just say that what it means is a higher consciousness where what you call magic is normal. Does that make sense? And what you can't see now, you can see clearly with transcendental eyes. That's what I mean when I say look at things through transcendental eyes. Look at these movies, Rob Roy, Braveheart, and all the fuckery done to the collective masculine, the feminine, through transcendental eyes. Like review some of the shit, because really that is our human history. That is what happened to us. Okay. Any questions so far? It hasn't been good here for many years. For too much greed here. Yes, he gave us many of his gifts. Yes. Okay, sweetie, read the room. All right. So, any other questions or comments? Okay. So I promised that I would look at an angel message from Alana Fairchild, and I want to just open the page wherever. Okay, I'm going to read this to you because it just came. So the page is 85. Which is I don't know why I'm blanking out this morning, which is 13. And 13 is regeneration. Just so you know, in Kabbalah numerology, 13 is regeneration, which is 4, which is taking on karma, or what I call the number of the volunteer. For me, the numbers of volunteers are 9 and 4, just on the side note of the life path. Okay, let me read to you what this is. It's an archangel. I'm not going to read too much of it. I'm going to skip. Only because I want to keep your attention span going. And we'll go from there. And then we'll do an oracle reading, okay? Kamal. Okay, so it's spelled Camael. Kamal is strength. His name translates as God is risen. What does that mean for you and I? It means that the spirit has strength. The ability to overcome challenges when the mind may want to dwell on the negative and avoid walking the path at all. When we call on this angel or feel drawn to the sound of the angel's name, we are resonating with the quality of hope and divine victory. The sense that no matter what obstacles lay in our path, we know we are going to become stronger and wiser as we move through them, and we will eventually manifest our deepest sacred fulfillment for the spiritual benefit of all beings. Now, that's a beautiful, badass attitude to cultivate in our lives. Kamal is depicted holding a staff, sometimes a sword, and often a chalice or a golden cup. The significance of these tools help us understand the power he shares to help us. The staff is a sign of authority or the right to be heard, to speak up, to stand up, to claim one's space. Let me repeat this. This is what we're doing individually and as a collective. We want the new earth. You want to talk about your twin flame and will he come back to me? Let me give it to you straight. Nothing good will happen to twin flames until we, first of all, get our twins to go rise out of the ashes of 3D into 4D, 5D, number one. That means they're more into 4D than 3D. It becomes their habit to be consciously aware and awake constantly and wanting more and more of that nectar of knowledge, right? And then moving this planet into what was promised for a good 2,000. It's in all the scriptures, all the scrolls that this was happening. That's why the 1% is fucking freaking out. Because the party's fucking over. The orgiastic party, their bacchanalian shit, it's done. It's coming to an end. The significance of these tools help us understand the power he shares to help us. The staff is a sign of authority, of the right to be heard, to speak up, to stand up, to claim one's space. This does not have to be an act of aggression. Thank you. Don't confuse power with blood, okay? With aggression. One can be assertive with gentleness and firmness. When you believe that you have the right to live your life in a certain way, you will simply do it no matter what the opinions of other people may be. I'm going to tell you something. I picked this page out of nowhere. I just got this book. I've never read this. So this is your message. This is like, do not doubt what you want. And in your meditations, you need to bring in the new earth. This needs to be part of your conscious manifesting ritual. It didn't take me more than maybe out of a 30-minute meditation. It took me, I think, it took 5 minutes out of my meditation. Is it really that much of a stretch? The sword is a way to see clearly, to cut through resistance, and to reinforce strength of our will and our spirit. The sword can also be a symbol that we are willing to do battle to ensure our success. Spiritual battle is never always against the forces of negativity that can operate through human beings and obscure the light of the soul. Those forces within ourselves or others are things like hate, fear, greed, I'll add avarice, and denial of truth. We cannot fight against something if we choose to hate, fear, greed, I'll add avarice, and denial of truth. We cannot fight against something if we choose to choose to become it. What does that mean? It means this is too hard. Let me go back to my ignorance. Let me go back to 3D. So even that, even regression of the soul's path to enlightenment, and people get freaked out and run right back to their little cage. That is being part of it. Okay? That would be losing the battle even whilst trying to win. If we become hateful or fearful, for example, we have lost connection to our spiritual strength, which is love, optimism, and optimism, love, and willingness to engage in the sanctuary of our own divine heart connection, which empowers us to take the steps in the physical world that we need to take. Our heart guidance might be to prioritize time to meditate regularly, to have a firm, respectful conversation with someone, to cut ties with a toxic situation, or to pray with conviction for spiritual wisdom and awareness during times of confusion. When we are spiritual warriors, in this way we are anchored in love and peace, and we take steps to confront the ways of the world that we do not resonate with, the wisdom of the heart through how we choose to be and live within our own selves. The teachings of the spiritual sword of Kamel is also an understanding that if we are becoming burnt out, our despair, our full despair, lacking in joy, or no longer feeling nourished by our path, then we need to step back, regroup, repair, and replenish ourselves. What did I say in this conversation? This is like confirmation. Spirits, my guides, are constantly here to serve you and my faith by giving me, out of nowhere, I'm like picking up this book and turning to whatever aimless page, and boom, there's the message. Supporting our conversation. We have the wisdom to know when to retire and when we are ready to proceed with fresh enthusiasm. Again, we are not afraid to cut off negative input and take time to strengthen ourselves from within. Kamuel can help us find the most effective spiritual strategy and approach to negative situations in our lives so that we can overcome them through wisdom and insight rather than aggression and force. Shall I continue? Pretty amazing, right? Shall I continue? I needed to hear this. I stepped away from the religious I grew up because I recognized how hate-filled it was, but I've lost a lot of people in doing so. But what people? If evil, negative, fearful conversations in what should be a temple of love is resonating with these, if evil, negative, fearful conversations in what should be a temple of love is resonating with these thing. Keep going. Okay, you got it. All right. The chalice or cup is the powerful symbol of the soul. It represents our inner wisdom and ability to be receptive to blessings and spiritual sustenance, attracting whatever it is that will truly nourish and restore. When we walk our authentic path of the soul, it is much easier for us to receive blessings. That is because we're no longer putting barriers between ourselves and the universe. We are more open and accepting of who we are, and therefore more naturally able to receive. It is easier to deliver a gift or hug or a high five to someone who hasn't gotten their arms defensively folded over their chest. It is also easier for such a person to hold up a hand to deflect unwanted energies if need be. Archangel Chamuel helps us to dip into the divine ocean of resourcefulness for whatever we need for mind, body, and soul to be renewed, as well as realizing that we can be protected and appropriately defended without needing to shut ourselves away. Yeah, When you see people crossing their arms over, I actually call people out. I go, what I'm saying is making you uncomfortable. Oh, what are you saying that? Because your arms are crossed over your heart chakra. That's why. And they'll put their arms down defensively, but then their chest is open, their heart chakra is open, and then I usually soften my voice even more to continue. The more open and authentic we are, the easier it is for the universe to assist us. Commonwealth helps those who need spiritual strength, who need to know that no matter what appears to be, when something is destined to happen, it will happen. The 1%, no, the 1% has more faith in us winning than you do. It's like funny as fuck. I just realized that. That's why they're fucking panicking. And we're all going, I don't know if I'm ready. Oh, I'm shucks. I'm not sure if I'm worthy. I'm not sure if this is malarkey. The 1% fucking knows. That's why they're like literally bailing water out of the Titanic. They're fucking panicked. And you guys, not all of you, but some of you are actually doubting yourselves. That's insane. That's funny, actually, isn't it? Laugh. You should laugh at this. That you should learn how to laugh at yourself, because I'm laughing at ourselves, because as a collective, we're actually fucking up. We're like, I don't know, man, for 5D, portals that travel us from abundance for everyone, no war and famine. Oh yeah, let's just keep going with what we know. The 1% is going, holy shit, maybe if we can throw more doubts, let's do gender wars, race wars, famine wars. Oh yeah, let's get the groceries up high. Do you see what's happening? Let's continue. This is a good read. We may yearn for it in our hearts, even once our minds doubts that it can manifest. I gotta repeat this. You gotta giggle. Okay, listen. We may yearn for it in our hearts, even while our minds doubt that it can manifest. Yet when we trust in the path that is meant for us all and call on divine assistance, we will take the steps we need to take. We will have the patience, courage, and wisdom to know that all things come in time. By the way, on a side note of just spiritual law, shit ends, good stuff ends, and bad stuff ends. There's a cycle of good and bad, and we're moving. Though a lot of spiritualists will disagree with me, but then again, who gives a fuck? Most of them are charlatans, or they're doomsdayers. We are moving into Satya Yuga, not Kali Yuga, you see? And so what you decide you want, you get. So if Satya Yuga is what you're moving into, then that's what you're moving into. That's the end of it. It's not. You don't have to argue this with somebody who believes in Kali Yuga. Oh, we've got another 450,000 of Kali Yuga. F off when we know what we know about time. And how time is a human constraint. Chronos. Time. Time is not how you perceive it when you're out of these bodies into other realms. Time is probably the only thing true about the concept of jail. But this is a planet that teaches. Okay, we will not give up. We will succeed, and every being will gain spiritual benefit through that success. Aho. All right, that was it. Amazing, right? I mean, I'm actually going to score the page, because that is one hell. And I never knew about this angel. Just so you know, Kamael. Well, I'm definitely calling him as my ally. That's all I'm saying to you, because we need Kamael. I'll tell you that. I have a friend who's trying to reach me. I'm going to try to wrap it up. Any questions or comments? It's comical, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you for asking. Any questions or comments? Okay, 18, love it. We're still in the 9 vibration, which I love. I promised you an oracle card, and then I'm going to jam. But I want to thank you again. So let's go ahead and choose an oracle from the Earth Warrior, and I'm going to call my buddy, because apparently she needs me, so I'm going to call her. Go ahead and focus on what is the message for you. And when you're ready, pick top, bottom, and middle. Majority wins. Just saying. Top, bottom, and middle. Let's go. I just can't get over it. I love it. Oh, there was a Bill Gates thing I got to share with you. I love it. There's these word salads that some of these rich, crusty old billionaires are talking about, how the millionaire mindset and all of that. And they talk about a story of, in other words, some of the stories of gaining wealth are stories to keep you poor, just so you know, to keep you working in jobs you hate, to be patient, to wait for the gravy train to come. Please don't listen to those stories. Just get yourself Project 369. Go watch Rhonda Burns' The Secret, on the material way of how to manifest shit. Just please don't listen to billionaires telling you how to make money. They don't fucking know what, because half of them, no, actually most of them have done it in nefarious ways. Okay, so their advice goes in the toilet and we flush it. Okay, what we're looking at is a new way of creating abundance that is across the board for all human beings. And one of the consciousness messages I forgot to share with you in my meditation about the new earth was that, because the question was, what about people that aren't good in the mind? You know, they're not good. They're not there. They don't match. It's weird. It's not like some elite little club being 5D. Don't think it is. It's a frequency match. The fuckery of greed, hate, and violence isn't a match to 5D, which is peace, love, and abundance. So we're not going to get some of that in this planet. Now, does that happen on other warring planets? That's a different situation. It's a different reality. Do you understand? And some of this battling that we're having in this planet is actually going to clear up some of these galactic tribe members who are warring, meaning they will be transmuted and transformed or removed. I'm just going to be straight, or removed. There's something going on that's bringing us into Satya Yuga. It's not just for our planet, it's for all planets. And it's being played out here, right here on this planet. That's why we're so important to the rest of for the Galactic Federation, because they're watching us and they're holding their breath that we're going to actually believe. So this particular reading was amazing. I'm like blown away, like totally shook. All right, middle. Okay, great, middle. We got it again. I can't believe it. Okay, give me another one. And I'm going to shuffle. Because I got middle again. I mean, we got a yes. Maybe I should just go with it. Fuck it. Okay, let's just go with 4. It's He Aka, sorceress of light. Fuck, I'm just going to go with it. Forget it. We'll just go with middle. I got to trust. I got to just stop being so in my ego again. Let's go with that. 40. He Aka, sorceress of light. No enemy shall defeat you, not by night nor by day, not upon the earth nor in the soul. You are divinely protected and empowered. Now, some of you who are going to be attacked, and you will be attacked. I'm not going to fucking bullshit you because, I'm not a ghost. That happened, okay? And they happen in various interesting ways. From physical attacks, very similar to stigmata. And stigmata is not an attack. It's a different thing. I'm not going to go into it. But so you'll see people who will say, I don't know why I've got these scratch marks on me, like out of nowhere, or whatever, right? Some attacks come into your dreaming as you're sleeping. And some of the attacks they're scaring the shit out of you, like doors opening and closing, shit like that. And if you're saging your house, if you're constantly doing what you're doing, it's like garlic. High energy is like garlic to vampires. High energy is like garlic. It will make them go away. Trust me. I'm not kidding. Actually, them coming at you is a good sign. I've said this in all my lives. It's a fucking good sign. It means you're on your way to ascension and they're there to fuck you up. And just don't be afraid. You gotta actually be stronger than them. And levitate your consciousness above fear. Okay, now let me read. Okay, let me read this and we'll go from there. Okay, all right. You shall fulfill your destiny with joy in your heart and laughter in your belly. Play. Be in nature. Feel the freedom of happiness within you, even in this moment. There are sacred powers, and with them you shall take every step upon your journey successfully, and nothing shall thwart your divine destiny. In a reading, ask for a healing, mentoring, or assistance to support you now. This support will help you feel stronger and more empowered to deal with any challenge, and be reassured that your spirit can handle it. There is spiritual protection for you now as you follow the guidance to explore conscious movement and creative self-expression. This can stir up old energies, releasing it from you and allowing vital presence to take hold within you. You're going through an initiation. Did you hear that? You're going through an initiation in which you will need to reassert your happiness and joy anytime it slips into the darkness of doubt, fear, or anxiety. Take time to dance, sing, drum, and affirm your aliveness with joy and courage. Become spiritually bolder in the face of anything that attempts to diminish you. Have faith in the power of the divine being, the supreme power. You are watched over by love. Spiritual guidance. Hiaka, a goddess of Hawaiian culture, watches over the sacred dancers of the hula and the arts of chant, sorcery, and medicine. Hers is the medicine of light, sound, and ability to penetrate the darkness of lower-level consciousness, which may overwhelm our sense of spirit, joy, heart, and inspiration with defeatism, despair, boredom, and even terror. This type of onslaught from darkness comes at certain times to those seeking to embody, and enact the light on earth. I'm repeating this. This type of onslaught from darkness comes at a certain times to those seeking to embody and enact the lights on earth. One of those times is when we feel strong and are making progress, but feel tested to sustain the higher level of being and awareness, even through challenge. Another time may be when we feel weaker, more vulnerable, perhaps fatigued from a challenge and not quite able to summon the quality of joy in our own. In all such moments, upon the spirit warrior's path of light, Hiaka assists. Hiaka is said to dwell in the grove of luha trees, which are sacred to her, as the place where she spent her time dancing with the forest spirit. Hiaka, name translates as she who lifts darkness. He, or high, is from the lifting of the hip, and ka means shadow. As patroness of sacred dancers, she reminds us that with a simple movement of our hip, we can move into dance and connect with joy. Yeah, the reason is because it's shaking your root chakra. Because at the spine of your root chakra, you can actually twerk. Don't laugh. It's an African type of dance that was brought into this country. But twerking, or this movement of the hip and the shaking of belly dancers, all of that is going to activate and wake up your root chakra. You might even have an incredible sense of like a waterfall of pleasure and goosebumps running through your body as you do it. And a cool sweat will, run through your body like a sheen, a mist over your skin. Do it until it's like that, until your skin sheens with sweat and you feel the goosebumps running across your body, and your yoni is going to get activated. I'm being subtle here, but not so subtle. It is said that one of the first things that all shamans will ask a person who is plagued by demons, or in our modern parlance, unable to summon the energy for their truthful fulfillment and sacred purpose in the world, is when they last dance. Dancing, whether moving your body to music or symbolically in whatever makes your being light up, is a way to invoke aliveness so that we can tap into the joy that counteracts darkness. Consider what makes you feel like your soul is dancing. Make time and space in your life as a practice for sustaining and strengthening your spirit. Part of the Hiaka divine purpose is bearing the clouds, providing rain, thunder, and lightning. Her wisdom reminds us that movement in itself can be healing. When energy becomes stagnant, we can struggle. This doesn't mean we abstain from rest, but rather that we learn how to rest within the endless movement of life itself. I'm pausing. Did you hear that? The thunder, rain. Now I'm going to tell you something. I don't know who you are out there, but one of you actually can make rain happen. And you started doing it as a kid, and you think it's crazy and you've made it up in your mind, but that's not true, because in many other past lives you were a rainmaker. I had to pause to say that. I don't know who you are. I don't know if it's in this live or if you're going to hear it on a pre-recorded, but you could make rain. Yeah, you didn't make this shit up. You could. You still can. Okay, let's continue. True rest will still allow energies. Did you hear that? True rest. Yeah, rest still allows energy to circulate through our beings. This is why we emerge from rest feeling renewed and refreshed. Movement for circulating energy means flowing in relationships with our bodies, mind, and souls, trusting our inner rhythms. Most modern lifestyle make it difficult to live an honest relationship with the mind and body. The Huzan people, they don't have problems. That's why they're not aging. It can be tricky to find the time and place to authentically and spontaneously honor our natural needs for expression and flow, so we can summon our wisdom and creativity to find a way. Hiaka says that we must. We must be willing to move with the storm wisdom within us, or we shall be moved by the storm wisdom around us. We will be moved by those events which startle us from our routine when we are falling asleep rather than resting and living. Permit yourself to explore a more authentic relationship with yourself and trust that in the process, the changes that will happen. And sometimes those changes will include how and where we live and work and with whom we share our lives will be healing. That means if you walk away from a religion and you've lost all those people, you've lost nothing but pebbles in your shoe to your journey to the ascension. That's all you've lost. You've removed pebbles and rocks and little things, little pieces of glass in your boots, and you remove them, and then you relaced your shoes. You put your shoes back on and relaced them and continued on your path to ascension, unencumbered by the uncomfortableness of trying to make your feet feel comfortable in your journey while, like basically pushing off people who were not resonating with what you're saying and would drag you down. And again, Plato's parable of the cave is something all of you should know. You should all know that story because that's the story that is our ascension. That's exactly. So when you walk away from the cave, right? Religion, whatever, religious belief systems that keep you trapped in a loop, which it is. It's a fucking loop. Any of these religions, including, even though I have a love of Krishna, I follow Krishna in my own way, not in any sort of propaganda or dogma or the pressures of, if you don't do it this way, Tony, that's not, no, I'm not buying that because I have a relationship, and the word Krishna is another word for God, by the way. That's why I call God one of 1,000 names, the one who created us all, okay? Because at the end of the day, that's it. It's just that, for me, that particular name resonates a piece in me, and it's probably from past lives, to be honest. And anyway, with that said, so when you have your own ways of loving and being a devotee of God, the universe, right? You're a devotee. You give your obeisances to God, right? The universe. And you trust God. You know that the one of 1,000 names, the one who created us all, adores us unconditionally. And you create your own way of connecting. That is the right way, and that's the end of it. And anyone that tells you, my God, only this way or no other way, is fucking up and is actually going to be looping in 3D again and again. Why? Because they are manipulating. And I don't care if it's a love spell. I don't care if it's using fear tactics to control other people. So they do it your way. Any way you do that will control people by fear, by rhetoric, propaganda, dogma, threats, blackmail, it's spiritual blackmail, is not ascending. Just that simple. Why? Because their whole machine is the whip of fear. And because of that, it's not a match to 5D, which is generous and abundant and loving and transformational. It means that people can walk into 5D and continue transforming into more and more and more and more open, kind, and generous people, souls. And that's the goal. That's what we're attaining. And for anyone who's cynical, and by the way, I have a little cynical, little self-doubting Thomas on me. But the cynicism is a pause to make sure I'm giving you or a client the right message. Or myself, by the way. Because there are sometimes, I remember back in 2021, the end of 2021 to 22, because I was in a separation with my twin, and I went through the dark night of the soul, and I was ripe in meditation. I was doing massive meditations. I had some corrupted downloads, and thank God I had enough frequency of my heart, trust, to realize what was happening. I was like, wait, hang on, what was that? Like, that doesn't feel right. And once I agreed with myself, and my guides, my true guides, because there was a guide coming in as a guide and it wasn't a guide. It was a malevolent energy posing, but it didn't feel right. Once I rejected that, once I created, say, a protection circle around me, these images no longer occurred. And then another time, I remember sleeping with my twin when we came back into union last year, physically in union last year, because we were in union for almost 2 years before we physically got back together. I had these, just in the middle of the dreaming, I had these entities come in. Oh my God, Melvin faces like gargoyles and whatever. And instead of panicking, and most people would panic, that's what makes me sad. I basically said, fuck off. And I did a mantra and then called on the 5 archangels to protect me, my twin, my son, the animals, the space we lived in, and then rolled back on my stomach and went back to sleep without any incident. It's that simple. It's that simple. You don't need to go find some person that's going to, cut a chicken's neck or do some fucking rituals in the bathtub with a goat. You don't have to do that. Please don't do that, as a matter of fact, because that boy, talk about bringing shit in. That's when you start bringing shit in. And it's like, good luck in shaking it off. This life is so important. Oh, you're so sweet. I'm so glad. My daughter does that. Stacy, you do that too? Fuck, that's amazing. Yeah, I used to do that as a little 6-year-old. I remember doing that in Switzerland. And then I had a connection with the ocean, because I love body surfing, and I would just taunt I would taunt the waves. I would say, "Is that all you can give me? Give me more. Come on, you're," and I would just harass the waves, and finally the waves would get into, bigger waves, and then I could really body surf, and it was like a joke. It was like a fun, it was like. I guess it's like, when people talk shit to each other, it's a joke, right? And it was like that kind of relationship with the ocean. But I have massive respect for the ocean. Massive respect. Meaning, I know how dangerous it is. And I know how incredibly healing it is. And I've never approached the ocean with anything else but absolute devotion and obedience to in a way, it's not like I'm supplicating myself, but I know it feels it. It knows as I approach it, I'm going, holy fuck, yes. Oh my God, obedience to you, great one, and obedience to the great Mother Earth, she knows. She knows. Sometimes I walk on her and I feel like one of my favorite songs, I forgot to sing her shit. She's really a hell of a good singer. It's called Kiss the Earth. Look it up. It's a song called Kiss the Earth. Oh my God, love that song because it's so in alignment with my feelings of this planet. I too was a person who said, I hate living here. I hate being on this planet. And then after wisdoms came upon me through just experience the beauty of the planet on itself, right? I realized it wasn't the planet I hated living on. I love this planet. I adore the diversity of this planet. Blows my mind. Just the fucking magic of this place. It's the fucking assholes, the 1% running the show that I hate. And that's made me hate living here. But I don't hate living here anymore because I know I've been able to separate my environment. So it's like living in a house. It's a beautiful house, but you say, I hate living in this house. Well, why? Well, my husband's a narcissist. Oh. So, but if your husband wasn't in the house, I love this house. This house is fantastic. It's beautiful. The bathtub overlooks the garden, and I've got an incredible, little waterfall. And so it's not the house you hate. It's the person in it, the narcissist. So in a way, that's our situation. We have narcissists, malignant narcissists, running the show, and it's time to give them their pink slip. It's that simple. And then all will be kosher. Since we could talk, she would go out and change the weather. I think it's amazing. These kids can do it. A lot of these star seeds are coming in. I'm unobstructed by the filtering of 3D demanded by society's norm. A lot of them don't give a shit what we think. Oh, it's not possible, little Susie. Yes, it is, mommy. Yes, it is. Where have you been? These kids don't give a shit what you tell them. Whereas some of our generations of highly psychic starseeds that were coming in as wayfarers were beaten down through pharma, through being sent away to schools to retrain them. And some of them didn't make it, and some of them literally had nervous breakdowns, and some of them became incredibly angry and violent. So we got to do better. Much, much better. If you're an educator, do better. I had a client who is actually a behavioral specialist, right? And I told her, you're sitting on those IEPs listening to bullshit up the ass, and it must break your heart every time you say. She said, how did you know? I go, because I know these systems. This is not me being a psychic. This is just common sense. And she said, well, what do? I said, you need to become an advocate for parents. You need to start putting your word out and start kicking some fucking doors down. So some of your educators, if any is listening to that, is a teacher, your sign is to now become an advocate, to start your own business and to start rewrite the rules. It's not going to fucking change from within, my friends. You're going to have to walk in and be the Trojan horse. That's what they just showed me. You know the Trojan horse? If you don't know, look it up. What is the Trojan horse? You need to be the Trojan horse. That means it's not within, but from without, going back within. Okay? Coming in with a smile from a different perception and changing systems, because it won't change itself. I don't want to go on tangent on education. I don't know if it's Norway or Sweden. I think it's Norway. But in Norway, I believe they only do 2 to 3 hours of school and there's no homework and they're out testing the world. Just saying on the side note, because you see, real education is teaching a child to think, not to fucking regurgitate mindless, stupid shit. To think. And the scientific world and the Western world, in particular America, is freaking the fuck out because thinking is creativity. And since there's no creative teachings in classrooms, no one's learning music, no one's learning art, no one's learning, many schools, that's been 86, a long time ago. So they're not learning this shit. That means they're not, so creativity of thought comes from creation. And because that's been removed and it's all about, the test. Oh my God, he passed the ACT. Who gives a shit? There are people so brilliant that have been homeschooled that can pass the bar without actually going to law school. Because they've learned how to think and how to re-question and answer it based on thinking, not learning, not being force-fed bullshit that they probably don't remember as soon as they leave that testing center. But that's on a side note. But that in its own self is a spiritual lobotomy to a child. To first of all, yeah, they're telling me to talk about that. Okay, I will. Thank you. The lobotomy that we've done using pharma on our children is unfucking real. So one of the things I'm going to say to you, and by the way, this may not end up on YouTube because I'm saying this, because they'll ban it. They might ban it. We are asking little boys, in particular little boys, to sit in classrooms for like 7 hours. When for 12,000 years, they were hunters and gatherers. They were farmers. They were hunters. They were warriors. They were moving. They were sword play, this play, that play. And now we're asking them to sit like they're in a wheelchair. And to not even make a sound. Or else we're going to give them something. That is not normal. And there are little girls like that as well, as you know. We got little Xenia warrior princess running around the planet. We always have. And it's not going to work. The reason my son taught himself Russian, teaching himself French, knows English, obviously, is because he was homeschooled. Quite half of his life, he was homeschooled. Every time I put him back into a system, it was a fucking shit show, constantly. And then I put him, and then he'd thrive. It's just, I'm sorry. I'm just being very bold in sharing that with you because I want you to rethink priorities. And because me and my husband made the choice of homeschooling quite often, because we loved our son. He's our jewel, okay? Our only child. We had poverty as the price was poverty. I'm being straight up. It was poverty because there was one income, and you know how that works. It doesn't, okay? So, but we did it. And I don't regret a thing. Not one thing. It was all worth it. And the one thing he remembers most, he said, yeah, we didn't have a lot, but but I remember how much you both love me. Like I grew up with love. Like love was not an issue. Poverty was an issue, but not love. And there's no shame in poverty, in my opinion. What I find shameful in our government is that when people have children, many governments in Europe send checks. Oh, it's socialized. It's socialized. Yeah, but they're happier than we are. So, just saying, might want to think about that one again. But the system that we're looking at with New Earth It's going to be much more balanced and less in our face. And it will be beautiful because we will have the kind of leadership or mentorship, guidance from people who really love other people and really want the best for other people, which clearly we're not experiencing today, sadly. And we deserve more. We deserve more in how we are mentored as a people. I'm going to use the word mentorship as opposed to leadership, because at this point, leadership to me means a lot of toxic shit. And because we haven't seen leadership armed with integrity, armed with generosity, armed with empathy. So far, I haven't seen it. If you have, please let me know. Who is that leader? Because I'd love to study them and love them and support them and share them with people I love and know and my clients. But so far, so let's call them mentors. So these mentors will only do the best for the collective and for the individual, which again is an old African saying called Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is when the village says, this person's suffering. Let's surround them and see, not in a weird way, surround them. Let's support them and give them a space to express their anger or whatever. And let's see what is going on, because when one person is off track, it affects us all. There's that realization. It impacts us all. And because we want this person not to suffer, we will do whatever it takes to make sure that to right any wrongs. And that's beautiful. And that would be the New Earth Society. Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Yes, it's not right. No child should be sitting for 7 hours in a classroom. I totally agree. Hi, it's the first time in your life. Oh, how sweet, Wild Gypsy, and I love that name. Yes, the kids don't go to school until they're 7 in Finland. There you go. Makes sense to me. And you know why that's incredibly wise, my friend from Finland? Because 7, a child from, I learned from one of my very, very dear Doc Holidays. I have 3 Doc Holidays, meaning very good friends that would do, but 7 children born are in the energetic field of the mother until they're 7. The energetic field of the mother. Now, when you're adopted, right, the transition of that, if the mother who's adopting this child is going to be an effortless, energetic transition, right? If the mother's good, if the mother's right. But if the mother is not right, the trauma of a mother, say, who is on drugs, right? And then unfortunately, the child gets this energetically reverberation. I don't care if they're in foster care. I don't care if they're adopted. I don't care. Unless the mother who is the new mother, the non-biological mother, is going to take that child into her care. And probably she was that child's mother in other lives. That's why it's an effortless shift. Does that make sense? But aside from that, with that said, I wanted to clear the elephant in the room. If you ask, what about the doctor? What about if it's a twin? If it's a foster. So I've covered that. The child is in your energetic field till you're 7. So for the Finnish people to actually not allow the child to go to school until they're 7 probably makes it much less traumatic for the kid than a 5-year-old screaming and crying going to school. And because now they're in their own energetic field at 7, 7.5, 8, it makes more sense. Right? Does that make more sense? And that goes back to the Vedic. Again, there's a lot of things in the Vedic teachings that have a lot of wisdom that probably go back beyond Atlantis, just so you know. A lot of these teachings were handed down from higher light beings, right? Conscious beings. Let me see here. So, yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? I hope my pharma thing didn't fuck this up where it won't be allowed on YouTube, because I had a flag on making a comment on something else and they flagged the whole damn thing. It wasn't allowed. So I'm trying to think of what I could do. But I'm going to upload it and hope for the best. And hopefully you can watch it. If not, I don't know. Maybe I'll put it on Vimeo and we'll see. And we'll see. And I can put it on my Linktree. But in the interim, the live that you want to look at on my YouTube is the one I did 2 days ago. It says How We Fell to 3D. or why we felt the three. You'll see it. It's got columns. It looks like ancient Greek columns, right? You'll see it. It looks like an ancient Greek temple, and it looks like it's underneath the ocean. Like, watch that. That's the one. That's the latest one. So go to my profile on my YouTube and go straight to all my videos and watch that one. That one is probably one of the most important lives I've ever done, besides any other live with Andromeda Flame. Those lives are also very important. But this one was when I realized the many ways we fell. And now we've been able to destroy this idea that we fell because we fucked up. In other words, some of us did fuck up, but it was not from a conscious understanding. But most of us fell by accident. That's what blew my mind. And as I do these Akashic readings for people, which, they're on the phone with me, just so you know. Oh, on the side note, because I have fake accounts that look like mine, you're going to get hit up by people offering you a reading. Please don't I'm never going to reach you. I'm not. You can, if you want to actually reach me, you have to do it through my profile, my link tree, my website. You fill out the intake form. You give me your phone number. Make sure your phone number is correct. I've had 2 people give me the wrong phone number. And then I will call you. Make sure if you're in Australia, anywhere in the world, make sure you give me your country code. Make sure you know what that country code is before you give it to me, because somebody else in Australia gave me the wrong phone number. In other words, she added probably one too many numbers and it won't work. So make sure you know that how your country code should look with your phone number, things of that nature. And I will call you for a pre-book, which that means is for 10, 15 minutes, we're talking. And then we kind of know what you should do. Do you want an Akashic reading? Do you want a foundational reading? What do you want to explore? Or do you want a hypnotherapy session, past life regression, right? What do you want? What's best for you? And then we go from there. And then we book the session, and then we meet the following day or 2 days later or a week later, whatever. And we do that. That's how I do it. I talk to every single potential client. You will never see me book someone unseen. Every blue moon, someone pays me ahead of time. I still do the pre-book call. And every blue moon, I will have a potential client who I think isn't a fit. What I mean by that is that they want the Ken and Barbie story. I'm not your girl. And I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to harm them. So before, I make sure, that they know that I'm not going to tell them what they want to hear, but what is important for them to hear for the highest level of good in them, for their highest power. And if they want your basic psychic, tarot reader, whatever, then I'm definitely not that person. I really don't want them to feel bad about it, but it's a waste of time for them. And I've done that, and I'm very happy to say I've done that, and I'm very happy to say a few times I've had clients literally come back saying, I get what you were saying, here's how I feel, what do you think? You get it now. Okay, cool, let's do it. And then we book, So hopefully that also explains my process. Okay, let me see what else. Thank you for the gift. That's so sweet, Lady Soul. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Any requests of any kind? Do you have any questions on what we've been discussing on the fall? On why, for example, the collective agreement on aging is really a great powerful we are as a collective, No? Okay. So it looks like we're done. I want to thank you again for your time and for just wanting to know. Do you believe we are meant to be with our twin? Yes, I do. Very good question. Yes, I do. Because in many incarnations, we are not with our twin. In other words, for example, just off the top, I had 4 incarnations where my high level soulmate and my twin flame were nowhere to be seen in those incarnations at all. Okay. So when we incarnate, it's a big fucking deal when we incarnate together. And so yes, but there is free will, and free will is a double-edged sword. So to illustrate the power of free will and the monkey mind is that people, suicide themselves with free will because of the monkey mind beating the shit out of them. So the free will, aka when it's used by the monkey mind, the false ego, or the monkey mind, hell-bent on losing, there's nothing you can fucking do to get that twin to understand what this is. Nothing. They will get the nectar of the sex. They will enjoy it. It'll blow their mind. They'll be shook. And they still won't understand what that means in brass tacks of soul connection. They won't. And so because, and many of these twin flame masculines or feminines, but let's say masculines, because that's usually the story. Not always, but I'd say 20% of the time it's the feminine doing that. 80% of the time it's the masculine. We have unicorn divine masculines out there that are fucking amazing, okay? But with that said, if this person has had massive trauma in their root chakra throughout their incarnations, including this one, because at that point, once you incarnate into these really fucked up situations, your frequency becomes a match to it. And of course, now here you are with a narcissistic family, or here it goes again with all the trauma, which makes you an addict. You become an addict, and suddenly you're out of your mind. So you got to really understand that you can't wait. Okay, if you're seeing all the signs that they are hell-bent on losing, and they do not want to read the books you're reading, they do not want to understand where you're coming from as you're going through your ascension, you better not sit back and wait for them, because you will get sick. You will get physically ill. Because grief is that. It makes people sick. And you will wait for your twin to wake up. That's not how it is. Every time your twin comes into your life, you should be actually trying to educate them. But there's a point where you better wake up and realize my twin's fucking asleep, covered over. We don't have a shot in hell. Okay? And you might say, well, Tony, what about all your manifestation power and all that? That's what I teach clients to do. But after a year or so, yeah, you fucking cut it off. I mean, meaning you don't block them. You don't cut them off. But you start moving in your own path, realizing that maybe it's time for me to have my own life. I've always wanted to go to Portugal. I've always wanted to go to Ireland. I've always wanted to go to Bali. You know what? I'm not staying in this town anymore to wait for my twin to wake up. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to move to Bali. I'm going to move to Hong Kong. I got a job offer teaching English in Japan. I'm going. I'm not going to be in a place of lack thinking, oh my God, if I move out of East Jabit, America, or Australia or France, I'm going to miss the opportunity to be with my twin. That's not how it works. If your twin's going to wake up, maybe the activation of you fucking leaving, and then them realizing, oh my God, yeah, she gave me that book and that book and that book. Let me read it because, right? Then they could wake up, and at that point, what, you don't think you guys can get together because one's in one continent, one's in another? Of course you can. But to wait for your twin, who clearly, and you got to be honest, is self-destructive, if that's the case, or entrenched in this belief that they have to stay for the kids, or entrenched in the belief that they have to stay out of this, that, and well, she loves me, and there, and the stories that twins will tell themselves, and twin rays can actually collapse into twin flame dynamics, because what happens is that the masculine or the feminine will tell themselves, they will lie to themselves. I see it all the time in my readings. They lie to themselves. They deny what this is. And because they're afraid, there's something in the monkey mind that's so entrenched in just status quo living, what I call dead living, that they won't move towards you. And so the reason why, so when that happens, the universe is holding its breath, going, what is she going to do with this? Is she going to, get into massive depression and never fucking wake up? Or is she going to get off or, go through the dark night of the soul, say, fuck this is too painful. Let me find out how to heal to become transcendental in this journey, my life journey, not just a twin flame journey, my life journey, my life, my ascension, my shit, what I need. How do I do this? And then reading the right books, doing the right things in this incarnation, so that if all else fails, at least you're moving out of 3D, which at some point, and your twin may need 1 or 2 more incarnations in 3D before they loop out of it going, this is not working. Not to mention you're now in 5D, which they're going to rubber band to you anyway, if not in this life or the next. And because I had that kind of philosophy when we were in separation in 2020, in May of 2020 into the end of 2021, right? I had the philosophy or of in this life or the next, I surrender. I did a video on that because that's where you have to get to. Because if a twin flame is so, well, we have to be together. We have to be, no, and your whole life stops because we have to be together. Like I have twin flames in separation. Like I have a particular guy who's absolutely brilliant, knows his shit, divine masculine, fucking could heal 30, he could do sacred circles with men and heal the fuck out of them. But he won't do it because unless his twin flame is by his side, he won't do it. Free will. And that's actually toxic. And that ensures, that decision ensures that his twin flame will not come to him. Because until he decides selflessly, look, if I can't be happy, fuck it, let me help these men figure their shit out. Let me just be in service. If I can't be happy, let me be in service to the collective. If that's not his end goal or your end goal or another woman's end goal, if I can't be happy, how can I make other people happy? Boom! There comes the twin. That's what happened to me. Because that's where I was. I was like, fuck, I'm done in this. I'm not doing this. I'm not a fucking yo-yo. And so I went into service, meaning I really focused on the twin flame journey for other people because I knew they were in pain. Damn near within, I'd say, a week or two, we started having conversations that were very healing. Short conversations, but conversations. And loving words. And words of longing to smell each other, to be in each other's arms. And boom, we were in union. And then it took time to be physically in union. So the irony of ironies is the very thing some of these people don't want to do because they're in separation is actually what you want to do to actually shift. So there's, I don't know, there's like a 180 degree massive shift out of nowhere. I just literally like miraculous, really. You could say, oh my God, that's a miracle. I never thought, yeah. And I ended up hearing things that I waited years to hear. He was saying it to me out of nowhere. I didn't ask, just stuff that made me sob in gratitude. So does that answer your question? I mean, that was a long answer to a short question. Okay. There are a lot of books that I have. You're welcome. There are a lot of books that I recommend. And I think I'm going to put it on my list to, I don't know, just, I don't want people to be stuck on Amazon. You know what I mean? I really don't like Amazon. I mean, to be honest with you, it's a necessary evil, I think, for some of us. So if I give titles of books, I like people to go on eBay or thrift books. I'll give the business to little mom and pop shops and thrift books, little mom and pop shops, and buy the books there, okay? But I have a list of books, yes. But the book that is the perfect book for the unawakened twin, unawaken anyone, okay, fuck twin, unawaken anyone. It's called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. It's called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. I call it a primer because here's a billionaire who's a spiritualist, who's fighting the monkey mind, doesn't know what this problem is of the second voice in his head that is absolutely fucking slamming him with bullshit, and which Eckhart Tolle first mentioned in The Power of Now. But he mentions it because it's a problem for all of us. So he mentions it, and he's like this young whippersnapper trying to get his master's degree. And he's in his 20s, and he's a hippie. And he lays out his story. And at the end, my takeaway for unawakened people, souls, is that his frequency was so high, and he trusted the universe with implicity. I mean, like absolute trust, that he surrendered to opportunities coming to him without second guessing that, oh, well, I'm not ready. I don't want to, blah, blah, blah. He became a billionaire. So money ended up chasing him. Money chased him for two reasons. One, it was his karma to have it. And two, to show us, because he wrote, I mean, the man's a billionaire, so he's writing books. It's not because he needs the money. So that's his way of giving back. Apparently, it looks like it, right? So then, any masculine that reads that is gonna, because men are into, I hate to say it, but in this material world, your success, the beauty for a man is his bank account, and for a woman, unfortunately, it's so there's all these like surface shitty ways we admire and look up to people. Like we actually admire and look up to beautiful women who are physically beautiful. Like that's I'm sorry, like it makes no sense to me. We also admire beautiful men, but we also admire rich people. We admire celebrities. We look up to famous people. Like, do you really think I give one fuck what Oprah has to say about how money doesn't bring you happiness? Oh, really, Oprah? How about writing a check for, I don't know, $300 million? You can afford it, to the people in Maui. How's that for an idea? Like, like literally pay all their mortgages off so they can go back on their land and then give them a construction loan. But bitch, you really are holding on to your money. So, like I said, this idea that when you move into money, it is the root of all evil, is created by the 1% to make us fear money, to see money as the root of all evil. It isn't. It's just a neutral energy. That's why I started coining the concept of tofu money. Why tofu? Because as you know, tofu has no flavor until you spice it up. And how is money like that? Because it depends on who wields the money, who wields the power. And if a person has beautiful intent, like Anita Roddick was a businesswoman in the 70s when none of us could get a credit card, okay? Or get a mortgage in the 70s. And she was in London, and she opened a shop, for the body shop. You guys know it. It's been bastardized. It's been totally bastardized. But in those days, she had decided that she would go with indigenous women in Africa, South America, Asia, blah, blah, and get raw resources, bowls, also things, material things like bowls, like beading work, things of that nature. And she would give, opportunities for these women to be self-reliant by giving them these commissions. Can you make me that? Can you get me shea butter? Can you get me this oil? Can you get me that? Right? Okay. And so she gave economy to women in these parts of the world, in these third world countries. And then she grew her business into what it is today. It was probably hundreds of millions worth, $1 billion business. And then she passed of cancer in her 50s. People have to understand that when money comes to you, it's not something you should be afraid of. It's the universe trusting you as their messenger to do the right things with that money. And what's interesting is, even though I hate the old barons, the railroad barons, the oil barons of the late 19th century into the 20th century, I'll give them credit for one thing. At least they were fucking building hospitals and building museums and building libraries, for Christ's sakes, with their wealth. I mean, they had the sense of doing something with that money for the people of the city, of the Vanderbilts. Even though there was some fuckery behind it, at least they were doing something. Today we have the levels of billionaires who haven't done shit. They're just writing checks to Red Cross and writing checks to. They're not doing. They're going to the gala affair at $75,000 a plate. Just the obscenity of this is mind-boggling to me. When all you have to do is get on your private jet, hire a crew of 20, 30 people, and land into a place in Africa or a place in Asia or a place right here in America where there's no clean water and there are no dwellings, but people are homeless, and start fucking working, start building, start solar powered energy. Everyone gets Wi-Fi, giving people tablets, showing them how to use it, giving them seeds untainted by GMO or shit like that. And that's not being done. We know that because we would have heard about it by now, right? So when you are looking at your twin in 3D, and I've just described the contrast between the new Earth and the Earth we live in now, and the attacks of just living, right? People really, the word thriving is what we aspire to, most of us. Very few people are thriving on this planet, let's be honest. They're surviving, and some by barely a pinky. They're holding on by a pinky. That means they're waiting for somebody to save them because they're about to fall, right? And so when that is a reality on the conscious field, energetic field of vibration, Do you see how that would clog your twin, in this case, from waking up? How do you wake up when you're busy surviving? How do you wake up when distractions are meant to distract you are everywhere around you? The first thing for a person to awaken is to get rid of their TV set. Or it's a smart TV and all you stream on that bloody thing is YouTube, high frequency music, things like this, Gaia.com, documentaries that really, but aside that, you're not watching the news. Like, there's no way you'd watch that bullshit because you know it's all lies. It's pre-programmed shit to pre-program you. So when you know that a person is entrenched in 3D, and you know the story, the parable of the cave by Plato, and you know these things, and you understand these things, and you realize that you have to spoon feed your person. And that's all you can do. But while you spoon feed your person, you move forward into your journey, realizing that you're walking alone in the physical sense, but you are surrounded by your light beings, your guides. You're not alone, actually. Technically, you're not alone at all. Not at all. You've never been alone. You'll never be alone. And you have your main guide. That's really interesting, right? So, does that make sense? And all of this shit's by design. The 8-8 power, yeah. Library has all the books. Yep, I agree. Library, same. Well, the thing about libraries is I love libraries, don't get me wrong, but there are certain books you should have in your library. You should buy the books. I'm sorry. And I think, I remember telling a client, he was an Afghan vet, this and that, and I told him you really need to open circles with guys because the way you're thinking, you're opening yourself up to all these esoteric thoughts. Is you need to do circles for men. But I remember giving him 2 books, the titles, and I looked them up on eBay. It would have been cheaper for him to buy the books than for the gas it took to go there, because it'd be like $2.99 free shipping. What the fuck? Just get the book. So I love libraries. Don't get me wrong. I used to hang out in the public library with my son. We would go there as a little outing for the afternoon or the morning, right before we did other things. So we spent hours in libraries and bookstores. But the point is, get those books in your bookshelf, your library. You should have books. If you don't have 10 boxes of books, I don't know what you're doing, because books like that are books that you will revisit again and again. And the energy of books, there was somebody, again, I said that in my last live, there's a person that said that some books that you buy, the title of the book, like How to Manifest Abundance, what else? What's another one? Chakra Clearing and Healing. Okay, books like that, right? And you put them on your shelf, but you don't read them. The energy and frequency of the books actually helps your household. I thought that was brilliant, and I thought that was right on the mark. It's no different than a crystal. I mean, crystal is, there are words contained in these pages that have high vibrational intent, and you have it in your shelf. So consider the common sense of it. If you can find the book for like $3.99 plus free shipping, just buy the bloody book and just have it on your shelf, right? Does that make sense? All right, let me see. My twin vacillates so much between wanting me to teach him and wanting to stay where he is. I don't know what to say on that. It's hard, isn't it? Hi, Mia. All right, so I'm going to let you guys go. It's time. I'm gonna cross your fingers that we can get this video up and on YouTube with no issues. I'm just hoping that they won't do anything stupid. And then we'll go from there, or else I'll have to edit it and suddenly it'll stop. And that'll be that. All right. It's frustrating. Well, no, I mean, doesn't it show you that we don't have free speech? Unless, right? When we really, really need free speech, it's edited or it's removed. What they did to Sasha Stone and David Icke during the, COVID, was monstrous. And YouTube was just fucking very intense about it. And so I'm kind of disappointed, because I really thought we had we really did have it. I mean, when people compare us to, say, a country like Tunis, for example, right? There was a lot of girls doing that. There was a movement in the early 2000s. There was a big movement of women trying to assert their power as women. I have a right to be equal to all opportunity. Well, no shit. Of course, you should have all opportunities equal to any masculine. No kidding. And one girl in Tunis, bare-breasted, wrote, "My body belongs to me," and it was posted on Facebook. Well, her parents took her to an insane asylum in Tunis, and God knows what that looks like. It probably looks like something out of what Frances Farmer went through in here in America in the 50s. Frances Farmer, she was an actress. And there's a movie about her, Frances Farmer. Fucking, I don't even want to watch the movie. It's fucking sad as hell. But if you want to watch it, watch it. And that's what they were doing to women like us, who were women like me, outspoken women. We'd end up, yeah. So that's what they did to her. So we live in a time which is very interesting, in that we do have a lot of freedom to say a lot of things, but I can't say the correct word for grape. I have to use the word grape, like grapes. Like what? Why? Like what the fuck is that mind game? Or I have to use the word unalivened. And so George Carlin would have he would rip through what's been happening through this. God bless that he's gone, because I don't think he could handle what's happening right now with language and how we're being controlled, and how our opinions on our own experiences and experiences of thousands, if not millions of people reflecting what we've experienced is being edited. So the new earth in 5D, none of that happens. None of that happens. So why? Because there's a sense of, we've gone through this process in 3D. We've seen how harmful that is. And 5D is all about, yeah, it's kumbaya. It is. It's going to be kumbaya. It is. And I'm sorry if you don't believe in that. If you don't believe in that, then please embrace Mad Max. With Tina Turner and Mel Gibson. Enjoy. If that's the planet you want to live on, you can collectively be part of that collective agreement. You can hoard. You can be in fear and rage. And you can think you're being a badass in protecting your little plot of land. And that will be your reality. And for us, we will move into that incredible new earth. And our reality will be prayer flags and waving in the wind and flags with peace sign, and there will be no other flags but those types of flags, no other flags. And that, when I saw that in my meditation, I was like, wow, yes. So that will be my visualizations and my manifestation, and that's what I've been doing. I've got to be more diligent on my 369. And it's been, July 19th was when I lost my beautiful twin. And I need to, I've had to recalibrate and reset, get a reset, if you will. And I'm being reset again and again. He's definitely around me and within me and all of that. Like I said, he gave me that incredible throat chakra necklace with a meteorite right in front of my throat chakra. And that is giving me the power to say things that are very tinfoil, and I don't give a shit. And I almost feel like a conspiracy theorist. Oh my God, you're a conspiracy theorist. Yes, I am. I'm looking to wear that t-shirt. Proud conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy, shit that doesn't make sense, that is harmful to others. Theory, thinking, theorizing. Why would they do that? How they do that? How do we get the fuck out of this mess? How do we get out of it? Yeah, theory. So when you look at your self-doubt and you go into, say, a soul-guided retrieval meditation or into your own meditation, and you ask your soul to show me my beginnings. Beyond that, show me my beginnings. Your soul may show you. And the average person will ask, and then when they are shown, they freak out and don't believe it and shut it all down. So make sure that when you're asking, that you sit and savor what's shown to you and journal it immediately and don't gaslight yourself and don't deny it, and then just analyze it with your heart chakra, with your soul, and massage it. In other words, write about it, rewrite about it, explore it, taste it again, go back, ask to see that again, and see if it's true or if it's a corrupted download. I mean, it could be a corrupted download, but the last thing you want to do is run. Last thing you want to do is run in fear. Don't be afraid of your own shadows. Don't be afraid of what's revealed to you. Don't be afraid. Be fearless. Walk into it. Literally run into it. I just saw an image of my twin when he went to India. Ganges is filthy. You guys know that, right? Anyway, when he went to India in the 70s, late 70s, probably 79 or 80, he said he saw the Ganges and he ran and plunged into the Ganges and tasted the Ganges. He said it was the sweetest water he'd ever tasted. What you believe becomes true. It becomes true. He was never harmed by the Ganges, and there are Europeans that have gone there to drink it and have gotten parasites and sick, and none of that happened to him. Because his belief of the Ganges transmuted the 3D reality of it, and it became transcendental because he was transcendental in the joy of seeing the Ganges. Does that make sense? That's how powerful we are in moments to moments to moments. That's how powerful we are. All right, I'm going to read your comments and then I'm going to sign off. God bless you too. Sending you much love. Thank you, Katie. It's good that you were here. I really love you. All right, namaste. Be well. Take care.